Okay, for this data set, I'm going to create a histogram, a box plot, and a stem and leaf plot. I've already inputted the values, and I'm going to first click on Graphics and scroll down to Histogram. And then I have the option of changing this from a frequency histogram to a relative frequency histogram if I choose. So the first thing I want to do is select the column my data set is in. I did not retitle this as a data set name. I just left it as variable 1. So if I wanted to change this to a relative frequency histogram, I would click on Next, and under Type I would have that option. Okay, but for now I'm just going to leave this as a regular histogram. Okay, so I'm going to click on Create Graph, and if I wanted to cut and paste this into my lab document, I would click on Options and click on Copy, and then you can open up your document and then right click where you want it to go. Or if you wanted to save it for later, you could export this to My Results. My Results is an option within StatCrunch where you can save graphs for later, or you can print it from here. Okay, the next I'm going to do a box plot. So under Graphics, I'm going to scroll down to Box Plot. Now the software defaults to a vertical orientation for the box plot. If you want to change that, I'll show you how. So first I'm going to click on the column that I'm working with, and you'll see what I mean. I'm just going to go ahead and create the graph, and you notice the box plot is oriented up and down, and in the text the box plots are oriented left and right. If you want to turn in your work with this orientation, that's fine. If you want to change that, what you need to do is under the next option, you just click on the box that says draw the boxes horizontally. Okay, so under box plot, I'm going to select my data column, and then I'm going to click on Next, and I'm going to click on draw boxes horizontally. Okay, so here you'll see an orientation that should look familiar to you. Recall that this long distance between the minimum value and the first quartile is where we're going to have some skewness. In other words, we have an outlier out here. Okay, and again, if you want to cut and paste into a document, you want to click on Options. Okay, so the next graph I'm going to take a quick look at is the stem and leaf plot. And again, choose the column of data values. And under Next, I have the option of getting rid of outliers. I'm going to click on No Outlier Trimming for now and Create Graph. Okay, so it appears that StatCrunch has separated the data values such that you have the hundreds and tens place over here and the units over to the right of the colon. Okay, so in other words, looking at this bottom row here, I have two scores of 180, one score of 181, and one score of 182. Okay, so that's how you would translate that back to an original data set. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is convert all of these values to z-scores. Now, you could do that by hand if you like. You would have to take each value, subtract the mean of the data set, and divide by the standard deviation of the data set, but that is very tedious and cumbersome, so I'm going to have the software do it for me. So I'm going to click on Data and scroll down to Compute Expression. Now I can use the instructions that I included in the lab for that data set that is labeled skull. I'm literally going to subtract the mean and divide by the standard deviation. I could input or type that expression up here in this blank field, or under basic functions, I just discovered a few minutes ago that there is a built-in basic function where you can subtract the mean and divide by the standard deviation. So you just want to scroll down till you see, whoops, come back. Sorry about that. So you see here y minus the mean of y divided by the standard deviation of y. And over here we can tell it what these variables are to input into the basic function. So I'm just going to select for y the column that has my data set. Okay, and I'm going to highlight the basic function I want. Okay, so in other words, I'm taking all the values in the column, I'm going to subtract the mean of the column and divide by the standard deviation of the column. And I want to set that expression. And you'll notice up here in the expression field, it's taking that column, and the column name is just VAR1 in this case, and it's doing the calculation for the z-score for us. Now I want to click on Compute, and you'll see that in your StatCrunch screen, in your data screen, you've got a new column that's been generated automatically that consists of z-scores. And then from that, as you recall from your lab, you're going to have to run some basic statistics off of the column of z-scores. So from this point, I could go ahead and find the mean and standard deviation, generate a histogram off of these new values.